Oh hands! My day is super annoying. He said he wants to make this Super Deck Sunday video for you guys. Because you guys are important and we should make videos for you guys. And I know he's white, but it's getting late on Saturday. And my buddy Pele could be home any minute. And he's probably going to get home and he's going to get mad. And Daddy probably should just not shoot this video right now. But Daddy's not listening to me. I told him and he doesn't listen. So if it happens, you guys don't know. I told him first, okay? That way, it's not my fault. I'm a good puggy. I can't be blamed for this. You were warned, Daddy. You was warned. Also, I'm really upset because the weather sucks. Why is it raining? Where's my snow? What the heck? This is not fun. Alright, Daddy. I'm done. Go do your video. Kaiba the pug. Such a crazy pug. Yes, my boy. I will go do my video. It is time for our return to Yu-Gi-Oh! On this channel for Super Deck Sunday. Just gonna set the charge cord in to make sure that we don't end up going into battery saver mode or some nonsense and possibly screwing this up. This is gonna be an interesting deck for you guys. I haven't actually organized it in a super efficient way because honestly I thought I misplaced a couple of the cards and I've been stressing out for the last like half hour trying to find them. And then I realized that no, there's just one of those extra cards for this pile that was attached to the extra deck. So no, you can't have that. That's a Kinder Surprise egg. That's not for you, that's chocolate. And as promised, because I know that this channel is more so a Magic channel than a Yu-Gi-Oh channel anymore, but I do have fans here who do love Yu-Gi-Oh! So for them, this super deck is for them, but for you Magic players, I have a pack to open for each set of cards. Actually, I want to shift this around. No, we're good. We're going to open the Avatar one last. This is the last pile we're going to look at. We're looking at this pile second and this pile first, I think. Actually, no. I was right. This is the way I want to do it. We're going backwards, though. We're doing this... No, I'm not going to say that. That sounds rude. That almost came out wrong, and would have probably been something my dad would say. Sometimes I have to remember to censor myself. Because I grew up in a family that wasn't super kind. And they say some things that probably aren't appropriate. And by probably, I mean definitely. So anyways, I'm going to show you the extra deck first, which really isn't much of an extra deck. It's kind of a weird one. And it really doesn't have much of anything to do with the deck. I liked a few of these cards and thought they might seem interesting as an extra deck if I needed one. So I've got Draco, Berserker, of the Tenny. Whenever an opponent activates a monster effect, I can banish it, and then if this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, this card gains attack equal to that card's original attack, and it can make a second attack on another monster during this battle phase. It's a 3,000 attack, 0 defense, so obviously don't put it in defense mode, ever. But I mean, pretty damn good card. I also have Graza, Tyrant of Thunder, 2800, 2800. During your opponent's main phase, you can target one effect monster on the field, discard one monster, and if you do, negate the monster's effect until the end of turn. You can only do that once per turn, and if a fiend monster is sent from your graveyard from your hand to the graveyard, then you can apply one of the following effects until the end of the turn. This card can't be destroyed by battle, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, or your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Pretty insane. There's an Ancient Fairy Dragon. If anything, that's probably the most on-point card for this deck, and you'll see why in a minute. Mighty Warrior. I just like this guy. I think he's funny. 2200 and 2... Oh, sorry. I forgot to do the stats. 2100 and 3000. During your main phase, you can special summon one level 4 or lower monster from your hand, but you can't conduct your battle phase if you do that.
And also during your main phase, you can destroy as many cards in field zones as possible, minimum 1, and then you gain 1,000 life points for each card. And then you can add a field spell with a different name from the cards that were destroyed from your deck to your hand. So pretty neat, in this deck especially. Mighty Warrior now. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the destroyed monster's original attack. And finally, a card that can no longer be used, but was pretty cool when I put it in. Scareclaw Tryheart. 3 effect monsters must be link summoned. All face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense position. Unaffected by the activated effects of defense position monsters once per turn. If this card is in the extra monster zone, I can target 1 level 3 Scareclaw monster in my graveyard, special summon it. I can't do that because there's none of those in this deck. And then if I do, I can add 1 Scareclaw monster from my deck to my hand. Also, I cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Scareclaw monsters. I do not have any Scareclaw monsters. I really just put that in there because it's a cool beat stick and it makes all the monsters that are face up on the field go to defense position, which I thought was kind of funny. Anyways, I'm going to start with this pile, and after each pile, I'm going to open the pack of cards that's above it. The basic generation of this deck is, this is a story deck. I actually made this deck originally as a sort of... I showed you my cat deck, which was a tribute to my mom. This was a tribute to my ex-partner. And she loves fables, fairy tales, all that kind of stuff. And you would think I would use the fable monsters in this, but I actually didn't. I went a slightly different route because the card imagery in the 2 piles over here is definitely more on point with the kind of stories that she would have liked. This pile is all the generic cards that don't fit into either of these categories. This is one type of archetype of cards, and this is another archetype of cards. And these ones are all just the random things that I thought were cool for this deck, but didn't actually fit into one of those 2 points. So, without further ado, here we go. I have Chain Disappearance. When a monster with 1,000 or less attack is special summoned, banish that monster with 1,000 or less attack from your opponent's. Banish all cards with the same name, blah, 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 blah. Dimension Fusion. You're going to notice there's a reason for a bunch of this stuff getting banished. Return a monster on the field to its owner's hand. Terraforming. I have a couple copies of this in here for a good reason. Nordic Relic Leviathan. There's a lot of random traps in here you're going to notice, and you're going to think, why are those traps in there? Because they don't go with the archetypes that you have, but they actually still work in this deck, so that's why they're in here, essentially. This one, for example, if a face-up monster in the field would be destroyed by battle this turn, target 1 face-up monster on the field that destroyed a monster by battle this turn, and you get to destroy it, and it can't be responded to this card. So, great way to eliminate something that is a problem on your opponent's side of the field. First grade of the day. Dogmatic Punishment, like that one's just completely random in this deck. Target face-up monster your opponent controls, send 1 face-up monster with equal or higher attack from your extra deck, so that's why a lot of those 3,000 and things are in there, to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that monster until the next special summon monsters, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Again, I'm not really using the extra deck that much, except for random nonsense like that. Bottomless, Sakarustu, Ice Barrier, which I have virtually no water monsters in this deck, but it's in here essentially for the first half. When an attack is declared involving your opponent's monster, change that opponent's monster's attack to 0, negate its effects. Also, it cannot change its battle's position. And then I can banish this card from my graveyard to send a level 5 water monster, but I don't have any of that nonsense, so I don't have to worry about that half. Harpy's Feather Duster, just to clear out anything that my opponents are using. Dark Ruler No More, to deal with monster effects. Field Barrier to keep some of the stuff that's in these parts into play. Regeki, Mirror Mail, Zero Gravity, Evenly Matched just to really screw with my opponents, because why not? Dimensional Fusion again, Fissure again. And this is why we're running Dimensional Fissure. I have 2 copies of Gren Maju da Aiza in here, which gets insanely huge if I can get a whole bunch of things banished by Dimensional Fissure, for example. Book of Moon, another Terramorphing. There's my other Grand Maju. Called by the Grave. Unfortunately, Grand Maju only applies to my monsters. It doesn't apply to my opponents, which kind of sucks, but I'm definitely going to keep banishing my opponent's stuff anyways if I can. Book of Eclipse. Change all face-up monsters on the field to face down, just to screw around some. Eradicator Epidemic Virus. I have a few creatures in here that I can sacrifice for that, but I mean, it's just kind of a mess around card too. The Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion is actually the soul card of this deck, and it's the one that reminded me most of my former partner. I actually just like this deck now for the simple fact that it's really cute. And if anything, this is the card that I kind of built the theme of this, or what this card and its background are the reason why I chose this theme in particular. The other theme I chose for a completely different reason, and you'll understand it completely for sure once I start going through it. But this one was a very special reason, and it's entirely because of this background. Pot of Desires, because yeah, I can banish a whole bunch of stuff, and then that improves my Grand Maju's attack and defense. Trap Trick Hole Nightmare, Ash Blossom, Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. Like, some of the stuff that I put in here is just insane. And you're going to understand why, because there's a whole bunch of trap things that go on with this half, I think, if I remember correctly. So a lot of this half required all these extra traps to be thrown into this deck, but it was worth it because I like trap cards anyway, so. How did Die get here? I like that one, just for the meme. If a monster you control is destroyed by your opponent's attack, or a card effect placed face up in your field zone, one field spell from your deck with a different name than the cards in the field zones, then reveal 5 monsters from your deck that can be special summoned with different names from each other. Your opponent randomly picks one for you to special summon and shuffle the rest back into your deck. It's hilarious. This one's insane though. Change as many monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position. Then if either player controls a face up monster, they must send all face up monsters they control to the graveyard. And finally, Dimensional Barrier. Just to mess with somebody again on one of their turns. Make sure that they can't special summon something, etc., etc. So like I say, when you see the background here, and you see how this card looks, keep this in mind. I'm going to move this one actually over here next to these. Just so that when we look at this, you'll really see what I'm trying to say about how it's like perfectly on theme. Alright. Questionable Cuisine, 3 and a black. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Create a food token for each trash can you can see from your seat. I like that one. It's pretty good. Seasoned Buccaneer, we've pulled him a few times. He's a good one. Gives you an attraction. Impounding Lotbot. I can't remember if we pulled that one before. Enters... Oh yeah. Incarcerate. I forgot. I like that one. It's funny. Dissatisfied Customer, 2 and a black, 2/1 Flying Haste. When it enters the battlefield, roll a 6-sided die. If the result is 3 or less, you lose that much life. That kind of sucks. Park Map, I don't think I've pulled that one before. 1 to put into play, 1 to sacrifice it. Search your library for a land card that doesn't have the same art. Oh yeah, I think I have. It's a decent one though. Blankosaurus, that's also a decent one. Alien Dinosaur, Trample, and it gets a name sticker when it comes into play. Can't complain about that too much. Big Winner has Trample as long as you control a stickered permanent, so, as long as you have that dinosaur, you're good with this guy. Ooh, that's the first time we pulled that one. I've never pulled that legendary yet. Nice. Brims, Baron, Midway Mobster, 3 white and black for a 5/4. When he enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control that has a hat. Nice. He has menace as long as you're wearing a hat. Cool. That might be my new favorite legendary in this set so far. Actually, probably not. I have a few that I really like more than that one, but that's still pretty cool. Discourtesy Clerk. I don't think I've pulled that one before either. 3 and a black for a 3/2. When this thing enters the battlefield, open an attraction. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more attractions, draw a card and you lose 1 life. Decent. Park reentry, 3 and 2 white. Return up to 2 target creature cards that each have a hat and or mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nice. That will go great with this guy. Far out, 2 and a white. Rather than choose the indicated number of modes for spells and abilities you control, you may choose one or more modes. You can't choose any mode more than once, though. Interesting. I'm not really sure why that is in here, because it clearly is an Acorn card, and I don't remember there being a lot of mode cards in this set. You won't be able to play it in any other set, but that's still a cool enchantment. We got a mountain. I'm happy with the full art. I'm not sure if we pulled Fortune Teller before. I don't think we have. Scry 1, I like that. Centrifuge? I'm not so sure about that one either. That's pretty cool too. Contortionist, nice. And I think I've gotten that one before. Yeah, I definitely remember pulling a homunculus thing before. Okay. So that one's definitely a copy, but I mean the rest of this stuff, a lot of it's new, which is good. And some of it's really cool. I'll move the fire out to the front because it kind of deserves to be up there with the other 2 cards there, but yeah. First pack done. Okay, let's check this part out. So this part is all about the fairy tales. And in particular, the fairy tale set that was in the original arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! So if you were a big fan of the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I was, you'll remember that in the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just making sure this is still recording. In the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! There was still the Golden Castle of Strombo and all that stuff, and Leo, he was Leo, or was it Leon? I can't remember for sure if it was Leo or Leon. I think it was Leo though. He was playing a really cool deck with all these like fairy tale cards. And I have to say, a part of me was really disappointed when I actually looked up this set and realized like half the cards he was playing were made up just for the show. And I was like, oh man, because that seemed like the coolest deck. And I always wanted to own that deck. But because there's only so many cards, I couldn't really make that deck a pure deck on its own. I mean, I could have. In theory, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I mean, there's 23 cards here. I could have easily found another 20 cards in support of this, I'm sure. But, I thought this might be a more fun thing to do. And like I say, I knew my former partner would have loved this. And I still think it's really cute. So, this is my Cinderella arc. We have the Prinzessin. I do have a few copies of her. I think there's 3 in here, but I could only have 2 maybe. Hextrude, I definitely only have 1 copy of her because she's expensive to get. Holy shite, was she expensive to buy. As was the Gilf of the Phantom Bird. I think I only have 1 copy of that. If I have a second one, it's definitely not hollow. These cards are all really cute. So, just to go back here for a second. She's 300, 600, so she's really weak. But if she's normal summoned, you can special summon 1 Pumpkin Carriage. So, she brings out the Pumpkin Carriage. And she can attack you directly if this is on the field. And also, your opponent can't target the castle as long as this is on the field. And it can't be destroyed. And the castle's over here, which is insane. So all these cards just kind of link up and combo off each other like that, which is really neat. And kind of just builds like this beautiful little story, just like Cinderella does. So you've got Cinderella, you got the evil stepmom. I'm not really sure where the bird comes into play in that story, but we got the glass slippers a few times. Beautiful copies of the glass slippers, by the way. Trying to see if I can get them to actually just show up without being so shiny, but I can't quite on the camera. I've got the Iron Knight in here too, of course. Pumpkin Carriage, Iron Cage, Iron Hans, because all 3 of these go together. And do a cool little combo thing. We got more princesses, we got castles. I got 2 copies of the castle. One that's a regular kind of hollow, and one that's a flashier kind of hollow. Oh, I did have a second Phantom Bird. Another Iron Cage, another Iron Hans, another Iron Knight, another Iron Hans, another Glass Slippers, another Princess, another Iron Cage, and 2 more pumpkins. So just like overall, this is just a very simple core arc. And I don't normally build decks quite like that. I usually like to have like more of a one of each card kind of thing in an archetype, not so much because it makes the deck stronger, but because it makes the deck more full in terms of the story. But like I say, the cards from the show, over half of them don't exist in the real game, at least not as of the time when I built this deck. So these are all my really cute ones, and I really love the story that they tell because, like I say, you get the princess, you equip the princess with the glass slippers. So you get her out on the field, you equip her with the glass slippers, then she gains 1,000 attack. You have her out there with the pumpkin carriage, so now she's going to be attacking for 1,300 without being blocked. If the castle is already on the field when the pumpkin carriage comes out, you also get to get the glass slippers from the deck. And then when she inflicts battle damage to you by a direct attack, I can target the glass slippers and one face-up monster on the field, and I can equip the glass slippers to that monster. If this card is equipped to a fairy monster, it gains 1,000 attack. If this equipment is equipped to a non-fairy monster, it cannot attack. Also, it loses 1,000 attack. And if this is sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster is destroyed, you can target one princess monster you control and equip this back to that princess. So it just is a really cute way to recycle all the effects on these three. And then the castle is just insane itself. So during your standby phase, you have to banish the top 10 cards of your deck, which is why we have the 2 Grand Majus again in here, because they just go popping off with these castles. Otherwise, this thing's destroyed. During your main phase, you can special summon one monster from your deck that specifically listed this card on it. So you can special summon the princess, you can special summon the carriage, you can special summon the Hextrude, you can special summon the bird, you can special summon the irons. Basically, you can special summon any of the creatures in this set, as long as you control the castle. And then you cannot normal summon or set the turn you activate that effect, though. And you can only use the effect once per turn. And then when an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of that monster on the field. So basically just a way to yeah. Really cool. I love this little set. I don't know what else to say about it right now, to be perfectly honest. But I think it's one of the cutest things in here. The Hextrude's kind of cool too. If the castle's in the field spell, you can normal summon her without tributing. Once per turn, if the castle's in the field zone, you can target one card on the field except this one and destroy it. And if you do, this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during the battle phase this turn. And when this monster destroys a monster by battle, you can target one face-up monster you control, and that monster gains 400 attack. So she's 26-21. She's pretty beefy. And then this bird over here, you can discard to add a castle from your deck to your hand. If this card is normal summon or special summon, you can target one card in an opponent's spell or trap zone and destroy it. Pretty good all around. The knights, they lose 1,000 attack while you control the Iron Hans. But if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard or by a card effect, you can add one Iron Hans from your deck to your hand. If the castle is in the field zone, you can add one warrior monster from your deck to your hand instead. There's not a lot of warrior monsters in here besides these two, so it's not going to really trigger that. The Iron Hans, when this card is special summon one Iron Knight, so you're just getting the knights back. If you have a golden castle, you cannot special summon monsters. You can special summon monsters from the extra deck this turn, otherwise you won't be able to. And this card gains 1,000 attack for every Iron Knight you control while you have the castle out. And the Iron Cage is just simply when this card is activated, send one monster you control to the graveyard, or if the castle is on the field zone, You can send a monster your opponent controls to the graveyard instead. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can target one monster that was sent to the graveyard by this card's effect, destroy this card. If you do, special summon that monster to your field. Fantastic way to get something from your opponent's side of the field, graveyard to your side of the field. Avatar. We'll do this next, and then we're going to cover this one, and then finish with the Infinity. Sorry, I am going a little slower than I meant to. Alright, I forgot we have to do Pack Trick 4. Okay, here we go. Bender's Water Skin. We already have this one in a holo, but it's nice to have an extra copy of it because you can untap this artifact during each player's untap step and then tap it to add 1 mana of any color. It's a fairly nice mana rock. Ooh, we got another Rabberoo troop. Nice. Now we have one for my rabbit deck and we have one for a spare. Perfect. Pirate Peddlers. Cool. 2 and a black. Death Touch. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on this thing. It's a 2/2 to start. We prefer to think of ourselves as high-risk traders. Rabberoos are famous enjoyers of hopping and infamous enjoyers of cabbage. Katara's water skin ensured that she would always have water for bending, healing, or drinking. First time flyer, 1 and a blue for 1/2 flying. This creature gets +1/+1 as long as there's a lesson in the graveyard. Aang offered ancient air nomad wisdom to the newest generation of glider riders. Keep your mouth closed so you don't swallow any bugs. Too late. Lightning Strike, 1 and a red. Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to any target, as per usual. Like lightning, Princess Azula is quick, fierce, and deadly. Ooh, Earth Rumble Wrestlers. I actually saw a post about this on Discord. There was one that was like really terrible coloring, and then there was one that was really good. We got the good one. 3 red or green. 3 and red or green, sorry, for a 3/4 reach. It gets +1/+0 and has trample as long as you control a land creature or a land entered the battlefield on your control this turn. Nice. Really good. Badger Mole, always nice to have an extra copy of that for sure, because that one's going to go well into most green decks. Ooh, the Spirit Oasis. We got a shrine, guys. That's the 3rd time I've pulled a shrine. Ever. 2 and a blue. When it enters, draw a card for each shrine you control, so it'll be for the one that you control, probably. Whenever another shrine you control enters, draw a card. I like that if we get more shrines. Meteor Sword. Cool. 7. When this equipment enters, destroy target permanent. Equipped creature gets +3/+3, and it costs 3 to equip. I mean, it's a decent enough artifact, I suppose, but that cost is heavy. Heartless Act. Oh, I forgot to read the flavor text on the last few. My bad. Spirit Oasis had, it's the center of all spiritual energy in our land. Princess Yue, of course. Crafted from a fallen meteor, symbolizing the sudden change that wielding it brings. Okay. Put a muzzle on him. Si Wong Sandbender. 1 and a black, destroy target creature with no counters on it. Remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Yeah. Ooh, we got Sokka Lateral Strategist. That's our 8th legendary. Vigilance, whenever he and at least one other creature attack, draw a card. 2/4. I'm digging that. There is our copy token. And the other side has, a spirit, which is in the shape of a wolf. I like it. This token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. Interesting. And the copy looks like Zuko. But it's from the play. So it's cool. Very good flavor. Alright, our land is... Sunblessed Peak. Enters tapped, gives you red or white, and you can pay 4 tap and sacrifice it to draw a card. I like the lands in this set so far. Tolls of War is our holo. White and black. Oh my gosh, that's really sad. Aww, that's Aang's teacher. It makes me sad. When it enters, create a clue token, Flute. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent during your turn, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. But only once per turn. I mean, that's decent. It's not amazing, but it's decent. And... the Earth King! Nice! 3 and a green, 2/2. When the Earth King enters, create a 4/4 green bear creature token. Whenever one or more non-creatures you control with power 4 or greater attack, search your library for up to that many basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Whoa, 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 whoa. That is insane. Okay, I need a second copy of this at some point, because that is going in my mono green deck if I can get a second copy for sure. What a pack. There was some really good stuff throughout the middle of that pack, beginning of that pack. Then we got a legendary enchantment. We got the Meteor Sword, which is awesome. And then hit some seriously good stuff at the end there. All right. Last section of the deck for the Yu-Gi-Oh fans, and then they can leave if they don't want to see the Infinity pack. I am playing Labyrinths. I thought the artwork on the back of the Labyrinths, and especially the chessboard and such, really kind of went well with the artwork in the background of this. Plus, the field spell for the Labyrinths is just insane. I'm going to try to find the less shinier version. There we go. I thought that looked perfect as like a castle that she would be in, looking out the window. And yeah, this set is really cute too, because it's Belle and Haunted Mansion, right? So we've got the Haunted Mansion, right? And then Beauty and the Beast, which was our favorite fairy tale that we liked to, we shared together as a theme for our relationship. That's how we refer to each other in our couple. Is of course about all the animated objects in the mansion coming to life and helping to defend the beast. And while yes, there are a few like ladies in this deck, don't get me wrong, a lot of these things are just essentially like a clock that came to life, a stove that came to life, a chandelier that came to life. And so I thought that was just really on point with this card. And I thought that made this like perfect as a set, a deck, sorry, because it tells a really nice couple, like two different really beautiful fairy tale stories that we both really enjoyed and loved. And also, it's just a really unique build, I thought. So anyways, we got Labyrinth Torby, sorry, 0 and 2000. He's pretty decent. You can get a Labyrinth spell and traps from your hand or deck, and set them, which is pretty good. And yeah, we got the Cuckoo Clock. We got the Chandelier. We got Labyrinth Setup, which is a decent one for sure. Fair Welcome Labyrinth. Labyrinth Barrage. Labyrinth Setup again. Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, the boss of the set, essentially. Labyrinth set up a third time because, again, this is just an insanely good card. Target 2 of your Labyrinth spells or traps that are banished or in your graveyard. Except for this one, shuffle them back into your deck. And then if you control a fiend monster, you can set non-Labyrinth normal traps with different names directly from your deck equal to the number of cards shuffled. Which is why we have so many of these random traps in here that make absolutely no sense. It's essentially because I can set them directly whenever I play one of those. And I have 3 of them. We got the Servants, Ariane and Ariana. We've got the Castle, of course. And the Castle's insane too. If you activate or set a Welcome Labyrinth normal trap, you can add this additional effect to this card's effect at resolution. Also, after that, destroy 1 card on the field. If you activate a non-Labyrinth normal trap card, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. So, again, all those random traps that are in the deck are essentially just for that reason. I also have the Labyrinth Butler, Arias, another Ariana, another Ariane. Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Not quite as boss as Lady Labyrinth, but pretty close. They're like sisters, I assume. Fair Welcome Labyrinth. Labyrinth Barrage. Welcome Labyrinth. Welcome Labyrinth. We got another Ariane because that one was cheaper than the Ariana. Labyrinth Archfiend. Another Stovey Toby. Oh, no, there was an Ariana. The one that was really expensive was these two for sure, and then I guess the Butler was kind of expensive because I only have one copy of him. Anyways, this is just a really fun set to play with. And like I say, I thought that made a really funny fairy tale style deck. And the reason I wanted to profile that one this week, twofold. One, I have a friend who I invited to pick a deck, but I kind of was really late to invite him to do so. And he didn't get a chance to get back to me before I had to film this before my dad comes home. So overall, moral of the story, I decided to pick the deck myself this week. And I'm going to let him pick the next time. And number two, fairy tales and fabulous stories is the theme of this deck, and that's kind of the theme of Avatar. So, and Infinity is just an insane story. So, I mean, I thought this was like really on point for the entire presentation this weekend. Open the final pack of Infinity and get you guys out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I didn't really go too deep into it because I didn't really get a chance to play it much before I quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, I think I built this one after I quit Yu-Gi-Oh! To be honest, if I remember correctly. I just built it because I really liked collecting the cards still, and I thought, again, that it would be something my partner would enjoy and maybe even want to play the game with me. Bamboozling Beeble. 1 blue for a 1/1 protection from robots. Pay 1, tap. Next time target player would roll 1 or more dice this turn. Instead, they roll that many dice plus 1, and you choose one of those rolls to ignore. Interesting. Jetpack Janitor, 2 and a white for a 3/2. Alpha Strike. I never actually pulled this one before. Alpha Strike is the first letter of the creature that's attacking. If it's earlier in the alphabet than the one that it's being blocked by, you get to get first strike, essentially. Which is kind of weird for Jetpack Janitor to have, but whatever. Disembowel, 3 and 2 black. Target creature. Destroy target creature. That creature's controller loses 1 life for each unique vowel in that creature's name. That one's Acorn for sure. So was the Janitor. Command Performance. That one's not, though. 1 and a blue. Choose 2. Open an attraction. Roll to visit your attractions. Get 2 tickets. Put a sticker on a non-land permanent you own. Solid sorcery. For Infinity decks. Non-human Cannonball. 2 and a red for a 4/3. I've pulled that one a few times. I'm not a huge fan of it. Ticket Turbo Tubes is okay. It definitely gives you some mana, and it gives you a ticket if you can pay for it, so I'm not going to knock that one. Vegetation Abomination is okay. 2 and a green. It does give you have Death Touch for a 2/2. But you have to tap it and sacrifice it to get a 6-sided dice roll to gain life, which is kind of lame. Astro Aquarium, 2 and a blue. When this thing enters the battlefield, you may put an art sticker on it. Pay 1, tap. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a blue shark with base power and toughness 4/4. The cracks of Astro Aquarium's art are completely covered. That creature becomes a blue octopus with base power 8/8 instead. Base power and toughness 8/8 instead. Sorry. Huh. Okay. I mean, there's a few cracks, but I'm sure you can figure out a way to cover them. 1 out of black for a 2/2. Haber Thrasher. Death Touch. Whenever another creature that has a hat enters the battlefield under your control, or a hat sticker is put on a creature you control, each opponent loses a life. Well, that goes perfectly with the legendary we just pulled, so fantastic. Wicker Picker. 3 for a 2/3. Creature spells you cast have Sticker Kicker 1. Pay 1 as you cast a creature spell. If you do, you get to put a sticker on it. You get a ticket, and then you can put a sticker on it. Wow, that thing's insane. That's fantastic. It came from planet Glurg. I don't think I've pulled that one yet either. XX Green Blue 00. It enters the battlefield as a copy of X different creatures on the battlefield. Whoa! No, I definitely haven't pulled that yet, and that is fantastic. Way to end this. Sure, I'll take a plains. I don't care at this point. Fortune Teller, that's a double. Squirrel Stack, sure, it's a double. That one I might not have yet. But I mean, the legendaries today were insane, guys. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it there for you. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Super Deck Sunder. Sunder, Sunder. Daddy, not now. Much love to you all from Kaiba, who's grumpy, and I to you. Take care. Have a lovely Sunday, and hopefully a good start to a fantastic week. Love you all. Bye.